Hello, everyone. Okay, we're going to get started. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Knapp, and I'm the Assistant Director of Greek-Lettered Organizations here at Illinois College.
And I'm Melinda Carlson, and I'm Dean of Students here at Illinois College.
Karen Homolka was supposed to co-host with me this evening, but she is in Minnesota for a family emergency. So we are sending prayers and good thoughts her way, and she's actually tuning in right now in the live stream. So hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Dean Carlson is helping me out, and I appreciate that so much. Anyways, thank you all so much for coming this evening. In just a moment, we're going to start the best of the best portion of our evening. But first, I want to thank Todd Spann, the Media Relations Manager, for getting the live stream going tonight so all of your friends, family, and alum can see this from across the country. So give him a round of applause. And then also, I would like to thank our 4 judges this evening. If you could please stand. Bob Chipman, alumni of the college, a member of Gamma Nu. Alicia Gotti, mental health counselor and ADA coordinator. Diane Holland-Donner, alumni of the college, a member of Smith House Board. And Rachel McGuire, administrative assistant for student affairs.
I want to thank all of our judges tonight, and thank you for judging. We truly appreciate your time with us this evening. Now I'm going to introduce Lucas Chamberlain, Pi Rho, who is our critic, to start off best of the best. Lucas, the podium is yours.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I have to say I'm really excited to be here for Pi Rho, doing my personally favorite theme, though I am perhaps a little biased. It's about shoes, which sounds a little unusual, I'm sure, but it's about putting yourself in someone else's shoes, understanding their perspective, who they are, where they come from, and where they're going, and the struggles that they see as they go through their life. It's very difficult for a lot of us to really see it from other people's perspective, and that's what I've challenged my guys with this semester. We started off looking at our own shoes, our own perspectives, and how that served as a lens for how we viewed other people's lives. And then we looked at each other, our close friends, and tried stepping into their shoes. And finally, we stepped into perhaps the hardest shoes for us all, women's shoes, as we tackled women's issues. So for us tonight, we have John Roller speaking for women. Thank you. It's good to see so many people here tonight. I thank you all for having me, and get this started. Equality. It's 8 letters, 4 syllables, 1 meaning, and a whole mess of troubles. What does equality mean to you? Is it being the same as the person to your left and right? Is it trying to be the same as a person of another color? Is it the same as being the same person as somebody across the country? To many people, that's exactly what it is. But to others, the struggle is far different. The struggle is, can they marry the person they love? Are they able to go to the same places as the people they want to be with? I am, of course, talking about the LGBT community. Lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transsexuals. These people have been slighted for many years, many decades in the United States. And they have pushed and they have fought for their right to be able to be equal citizens among all of us. And now, I'm glad I can tell you a couple of success stories, because that's where the movement is heading. We have Laverne Cox. Is anybody a big fan of Orange is the New Black? I know many people are. Thank you. She's an actress in that show. She brings a lot of comedy to it, and she really pushes for her movement. Many of you might not know, or maybe do, Laverne was born a man. At 11 years old, she attempted suicide. The reason she attempted suicide is because she was having feelings for boys on the playground. She was struggling with her inner identity, and she didn't know what was going to happen to her. And thankfully, she was able to get help. She was able to move past her troubles with herself. She was able to accept herself for who she is. And now she's an acclaimed actress, a great director, a prominent figure in a powerful movement in a big country. On the other hand, we have Ellen DeGeneres. Of course, everybody likes Ellen. She was Dory, and she was also part of a great sitcom, The Ellen Show. And in this show, she came out. Her character, her character named Ellen came out. And then a day later, Ellen herself came out to the world as a lesbian. And she was terrified of this. She was really worried that she would no longer be able to find work, never be able to put food on the table for her nor her wife. And yet she was able to get a part of Time magazine, the cover. You should look it up, it's a great picture. Ellen was able to help start the movement and the powerhouse that it is today. Now we have success stories popping all up. Marriage is being legalized in many states. We have other stories of people able to live their lives without scrutiny, without worry. And all this is great. It's all pointing to that big, rosy, you made it at the end of the tunnel. Except that there's been trouble lately. I'm talking about Target. Target is a very progressive company. They really push to have equal opportunity among all members. And as such, with the Equal Rights Act recently passed, they decided that if you identify as a man, then use the men's dressing room. If you identify as a woman, use the women's restroom, and so on and so forth. They will not judge you on who you are. The American Family Association recently started a petition that has gained, at last count, 1,100,000 signatures. That's 1.1 million people effectively saying, you're not who you think you are. That's 1.1 million people saying, you don't deserve to go where you should. You don't deserve to call yourself a woman because you were born a man. Or you don't deserve to be a woman in a society where everything else says you should be. It's troubling. 1.1 million people are willing to put their name on a document and say that no, you are not who you are. And so I ask all of you, be open to it. Because saying that you should have a unisex bathroom for people who identify differently than what you say they are, it's ostracizing them. It is forcing them to have insecurities in themselves that they may not have experienced before, that they may have conquered once but are now back to haunt them. So I ask you, please be calm, considerate, and kind, and welcome all of those as who they say they are. Thank you.
My name is Alicia Griesmer, and I am Vice President of Gamma Delta Literary Society. This past semester, we explored the theme of personal growth and healing. The purpose of this theme was that I wanted all of our members to have a meaningful experience, and because I feel that self-reflection is important to success in all of its forms. The three sub-themes that we explored were elapsed matters, present affairs, and forthcoming resolutions. Our speaker this evening will be speaking on the sub-theme of elapsed matters. In her piece, she discusses the loss of her close friend and how the temporariness and brevity of our lives left her stunned. In her piece, No Day is Promised, she discusses how grief can inspire us to be the best that we can be in our lives. It is now with great pleasure that I introduce Miss Marineth Sierra to the stage.
that leaves us reevaluate the important things in our lives.
The things we often otherwise take for granted. You know, to ones, our health, food, family, friends, or even the absolute fact that we woke up to yet another beautiful day of life on Earth this morning. You see, we often get so caught up in our busy lives that we tend to forget how important it is to truly live in and experience each and every moment in its simplicity. We live for the big things rather than appreciating the little things. And while of course it's good to set goals and things to work towards, I think it's equally important to remember that each day, hour, or minute from now is never promised, and to thus live accordingly by living in the now, by making each and every day the best it can be. Yes, even those supposed bad days. I used to think that if I had one ruthless day, my whole world was over. That all changed when I lost a close friend of mine. Someone I spent the majority of my freshman year in college with, and someone that will always have a special place in my heart. Corey. Corey Moore recently passed away due to a furnace explosion. His last words were, "Someone, please help me, please don't let me die like this, please." What does that tell us? A week before the accident, how is he to know those were his last 7 days to live? Due to the loss of my close friend, I try to remind myself not to take my days for granted. Because I don't know when my last day will be. My whole world changed when I heard the news of his death. And for a while, I lived in fear, afraid of what could happen next. Until I realized that what death had really taught me was to live my life to the fullest, to take chances without regret. The passing of someone close to me prompted me to be a more open-hearted person and to take into consideration that we each have our own issues. And for this reason, I choose to live in the now. For this reason, I choose to live without fear. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Roth, and I am the critic for Sigma Pi this semester. During this semester, I had my productionist focus on the theme of politics because I saw it as pertinent since the presidential primaries will be taking place this semester. I had the productionist in our first literary production focus on the candidates that were running for president. In our second and third literary production, I had the productionist focus on two issues that are constantly brought up by the presidential candidates: national security and gun control. With these sub-themes, the productionists were able to share who they see as best fit for office, debate with one another on the issue of gun control, and if you were at our last Lit Pro, the productionists attempted to talk about national security, but unfortunately did not hit much about it. Tonight, the speaker representing Sigma Pi will be focused on the societal trends and how it negatively impacting certain aspects of our life. The speaker is going to touch on how we can change these societal trends so that we can no longer negatively feel the impact of them. Without further ado, I introduce Mr. Alex Gardner.
anxious faces out there, don't worry, this is a new piece. To begin tonight, I'd like to give a toast to a number of faculty and staff who will be leaving us next year, including Dean Tobin, who I don't think is here, Dr. Steve Hochstadt, and our very own Sarah Knapp. So please join me in thanking them for their service. So my speech is entitled Sticks and Stones, and as you may have guessed, I'll be presenting my thoughts on the broad topic of sociality and human interaction and how it applies to Illinois College. I've battled with myself about how to approach this topic because my stance seems to constantly waver back and forth from one end of the spectrum to the other. Some of you in the audience may be thinking, how can this guy possibly talk about this topic? Now bear with me and don't write me off too quickly. I'm a heterosexual, white, middle-class male. And yes, I recognize the privilege that I hold. I haven't had to explain myself, who I am, every step of the way. And until college, I had never even heard of such a thing. When I first heard the term, I probably gave a questioning look and smirked a little bit at the idea. Yes, I'm white, but I've also worked hard in school and sports and work. My parents worked hard as well, and they didn't even start off where I did. So it was easy to dismiss this notion that being white means you're automatically successful or wealthy. However, through chance observations in several courses that have challenged my understanding, I have come to recognize the difficulties that those who are different from me face from time to time, or even daily. It is for this reason that I'm thankful for the efforts that IC administration and students have made to promote understanding among different peoples through various clubs and initiatives. And this brings me to my next point. While in the large picture a lot of these things are good, I feel that too often it seems like the legitimate claim of racism and prejudice are used to justify less legitimate claims. Yes, it's true that racism exists and there are prejudice against non-heterosexual people, and they face these things all the time. I've already established this, but what I'm referring to is what I would like to call sort of picking the low-hanging fruit and playing the blame game with regards to those with this privilege. And my argument is that no progress can be made while this continues. It's time that we move past and look for ways to bring people up without simultaneously bringing others down. As I said earlier, I acknowledge the cards that I've been dealt and how this can put me at an advantage, but I don't understand being sorry for that or somehow handicapping myself to compensate for innate traits. Because after all, isn't the original goal to eradicate prejudicial stereotypes based on looks? I hope you maybe see the irony that I'm trying to point out here. We're arguing for tolerance, inclusion, and acceptance, but only if you're not how I described myself. And this is a serious problem because it undermines that support that these progressive movements would otherwise receive if some of us didn't feel alienated simply because of the situation we were born into. I don't think I'm alone when I say that I've witnessed victimization go too far, where some are too eager to label themselves as victims. Without too much imagination, one can see such an example. As I'm sure you all are aware, we held our Greek Olympics just a few weeks ago. Originally, the plan was to have each society choose a country to represent itself. Then this was deemed culturally insensitive, so colors were assigned to each society. Sigma Pi was named the black team. Now, I bet you can all guess why this was the case, and frankly, I feel uncomfortable trying to confirm my suspicion. In any case, here it goes. The reason we were the black team is because, well, our colors are black and gold. That was a joke, by the way. But do you see how easily someone could have cried foul? That's what I'm talking about. A color, a language, a nationality, none of that is inherently racist, so why do we always act as if it is? I'm confident in saying that Mexicans aren't somehow ashamed of the sombrero, just like Germans aren't ashamed of the lederhosen, and Americans aren't ashamed of our rich history of drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. Okay, well, maybe some of us are, but there are still people who take pride in the ever-smooth American lager. The point is, be understanding, but don't be fearful. The world needs a better sense of humor and fewer social justice warriors. I mean, can you imagine someone going into Los Rancheros for his birthday, and when the celebration comes, he says to the waiter, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't wear the sombrero. I might offend someone." I feel there's really no better way to approach uncomfortable situations than with a bit of humor. We've got to stop letting fear dictate our interactions with others, and accept that there will be some discomfort when interacting with people from different cultures. It's just important not to jump down each other's throat every time someone makes a social faux pas. With this in mind, I think this campus community can make real progress and be a shining example for others around the country. Now all that's left is to find a way to make young men on this campus prosper as much as their female counterparts. It's no secret that women earn graduate degrees at a higher rate than men and overall succeed more in college. Perhaps you attended any number of the presentations of the award ceremonies this past Friday. You might recollect seeing quite a few more of your female classmates than males. Now, I'm not going to stand here and claim a gender bias, not at all. We should absolutely applaud those who are successful. The audience alone is littered with a lot of high-achieving students. My point is that young men tend to be a little less organized and motivated at this time in their lives. After all, boys will be boys. Now let me explain what I mean by that. The phrase, boys will be boys, may conjure up a lot of different feelings and attitudes, but honestly, what it means to me is that the youth will always make mistakes and do things that are not deemed appropriate in the eyes of those who are more learned. I grew up roughhousing, name-calling, doing stupid things in the name of double dog dares, and in general, making a lot of mistakes. But am I ashamed of it? No. Because I learned a lot more valuable lessons from my mistakes than I would from someone lecturing me on how to live. It's no secret that SIGs have a reputation for being crude and otherwise abrasive at times. I'm sure that the PC police would be on our doorstep every night if they heard the way we talk to each other. But that's just the way we are, and more broadly, that's a large part of masculine culture. Being able to take criticism, get pushed around a little bit, and understand where you are on the totem pole are valuable parts of this culture, and I would argue they are valuable in any setting. Perhaps these aren't the problem, but rather the way in which these values are established is what causes concern. Someone's feelings will undoubtedly be hurt when the new guy challenges the old guy, but the new guy learns, and eventually the young buck overthrows the old bull, and it becomes leader of the herd. It's part of the maturation process, learning how to take criticism when it's justified and fighting back when it's not. In my sociology class, we watched a movie entitled Tough Guys, in which the narrator argues that the endemic of male violence is a result of the way young boys are taught how to be masculine. He argues that the media perpetuates a culture of violence and machoism that is unhealthy for young boys. I'd argue that this guy came up with a neat theory, but just doesn't understand the implications that it would have on a number of young men and boys. What my concern is that masculine culture is being defined as incompatible with tolerance, inclusivity, and diversity, and this could not be farther from the truth. In my opinion, male social bonds are some of the strongest and most enduring relationships. But just like school has homework, quizzes, and tests, men have their own tests and trials in order to develop that lifelong bond. And if you've never been part of these processes, then I can understand how it might seem ridiculous or even harmful at times. However, I'm asking you to trust the process. Trust that we've evolved under the same governing principles that everything in nature has, and that the process works. Sometimes friendships don't work out. People are incompatible or someone falls short, and that's okay. We can tolerate others, but not everyone has to be friends. Not even everyone has to respect each other. I was always raised with the understanding that respect is earned, not given. Maybe this has changed. Regardless, I'm not going to budge on this one. Recognizing how young adults grow and mature is a huge part of the guided education that we receive during our college years. And this brings me to my last topic, having some fun in our free time. Dean Tobin delivered a speech at the honors ceremony this past Friday on the topic of life after graduation. And one of her points is that we'll never have as little responsibility and as much free time as we do now. So what better time to take a few liberties with our classmates? Events like house-to-house and bar crawls are discouraged or even condemned, but these require an incredible amount of planning, communication, and coordination. You might as well earn an honorary MOL degree for organizing these. Also, probably fewer people got hurt at these events than at the paint party this past weekend. But in all fairness, leave it to a member of Sigma Pi to turn innocent fun into something dangerous. Sorry, Luke Marlowe. Let's just be thankful it was SAB hosting this event, because if Sigma Pi had hosted it, then I'm sure we'd be in some hot water. Maybe the secret is just passing out liability waivers before our events. I'm joking, of course. With the new printing policy, we'd run out of money way too quickly. All kidding aside, the truth is that the unexpected happens, and people can get hurt in almost any situation. That doesn't mean we should bubble wrap the world. There's a reason adults don't scuff their knees and elbows very often, and that's because they learned how to avoid those injuries as children. The same sentiment should be applied to college, where the environment is overall safer than anywhere else. Just think of a good portion of everyone's tuition as prepaying for the dumb things that students do. Maybe you get caught with alcohol in the dorm. What happens? School doesn't call JPD. They handle it internally most of the time. And this is a good thing. It shows that the college takes its role of being educators seriously. And more importantly, it shows mercy and forgiveness. Because if things were run differently, then I know a lot of us would have a few misdemeanor charges on our record. But hey, no one is perfect. I know I've made an ass out of myself on more than one occasion, and there's a good chance that many of you in here have witnessed one of these such occasions. And for that, I'm sorry. But like I said earlier, failures are the best teachers, and that's just the way it is. We all need to push our limits and find out where our boundaries lie. College is the right time and place to do that, so I encourage you to take chances, continue meeting new people, take up a new hobby, join a new club, or maybe sit next to that girl you like at church. Who knows? You just might continue sitting next to her for the next 4 years. Whatever it is, don't let fear dictate your decisions. Thank you.
So obviously, I'm not Julie Wire. I'm Amanda Wood, and I'm the president because Julie could not make it today. But our theme for this semester was limitations in history, society, and oneself. And Ms. Tamar Norville will be giving a very personal piece on limitations in ourselves. And I'm going to let her take it away because her piece is pretty good. Ms. Norville?
Limits are just the illusions that you let yourself live in. A quote from an unknown source my mother would tell me when I was young. At a young age, I took this concept to heart and decided that I can be anything I want to be and succeed at it. Yet I was too innocent to be aware of the obstacles that would stand in my way. I narrowed down personal limitations to 2 easy concepts. 1, your self-confidence, and 2, how you perceive others seeing you. As you grow up, most people build their own ideas, decide who they are, who they want to be, and are able to take control of their lives. I, on the other hand, was not that fortunate. As the 7th of 9 children, all birthed by my pastor father and minister mother, it is an understatement that I came from a strict lifestyle. For example, I was only allowed to listen to Christian music. Every other genre was secular and just merely not allowed. One time before my basketball game, there was music playing during my warm-ups, and Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl came on. The song got stuck in my head the whole game and even that evening when I went home. I made the horrid mistake of singing the song in front of my little sister, who of course sang it in front of my father. My father had the whole congregation pray over me as if there was some demon inside of me forcing me to like that song. He then told me I couldn't sing that well anyway, so I might as well just keep my mouth shut. The Norville children were never allowed to date. Only have dates to dances, but they had to fit all the criteria. The male dates had to ask my parents for permission, actually ask us, not just through text, and pay for everything except for the dress. We had what other students called the Norville rule, meaning the first guy to ask you, you must say yes. This rule was set so then we didn't say no to the nice guy in order to hold up for the jerk that may never end up asking us. The downside? Our dates were not always the best. I had one date pretend that he was going to pay for everything, and he paid for nothing. He only asked me to try to turn out the pastor's kid and tap the black girl. When I declined and I left, suddenly everyone in the school thought I was a lesbian, which caused more problems for me at home. And then I was told no one could ever love a hog like me anyway. In the Norville household, we were all required to play at least 3 sports. I wanted to play softball as one of my 3. But my father told me I was too fat, and softball players just don't run enough, so he put me in track instead. I was constantly reminded of my weight and how it hindered me. All 6 of my older siblings were lean, strong, fast, beautiful, and intelligent, and I was nothing like them. I would get in trouble or yelled at if I didn't compete well, or if I didn't do something that my siblings were capable of doing. In our family, we're not deemed an adult until we're 20. So yes, even though the legal adult age is 18, that was blatantly disregarded by my parents. Even when we were at college, my parents still had reign over us, and we could still get in trouble if we didn't compete the way they felt that we should have. I hated getting in trouble. Getting in trouble meant that if I didn't compete well, I got beat when I got home. I hated getting yelled at. Getting yelled at meant that if I didn't do a chore well enough, I was told I was too dumb to comprehend anything, and I would have what felt like 100 voices screaming at me all at once. I hated getting picked on because I was out of breath going up a staircase or because I had a unibrow. I hated getting put down because I wasn't talented or pretty or I sweat too much. I hated being so desperate for friends that I would bend over backwards just to become their doormat. I felt the only way to save myself from the pain was to just be honest with myself. If so many people are saying these things about you, they must be right. Right? I accepted it all. I would make jokes about myself to make friends, knowing that what they said they were actually serious about. All the while, I would just say, Tamar, it's not that bad because it's the truth. I knew I would never be the athlete my siblings are, nor as intelligent nor as beautiful as they are, so I accepted mediocrity as my norm. I believed I was the ugly duckling and nothing would ever change, so I didn't care about my appearance. I didn't even try to change my circumstances. I allowed the influences of others to tint my self-image, and I put a cap on my own growth. The sky was not my limit. I was. After my freshman year of college, everything changed. That first year tested me in every way. I had to take this large step to finally being on my own, all the while I'd been stalked by a man for 2 years by this time. When he had finally been sentenced to 13 years in federal prison on a number of sexual assault and battery counts, I realized I was broken. The only way to go from here was up. Although people still tried to break me down, I decided enough was enough, and I slowly began to conquer my mental blocks. At a college where I lived in my father and 6 older siblings' shadow, I aimed to make a name for myself. I opened my eyes to see myself the way the people that loved me saw me and the way that God saw me. I realized that I will never be like my siblings because I'm not them, but I could still be successful in the goals that I set for myself. Success means having the courage, the determination, and the will to become the person that you believe you were meant to be. I leaned on my friends, loved ones, and my faith to become the woman that I am today. Now in the final semester of my undergrad, I know who I am in Christ. I'm happy and comfortable in my body. I'm blessed with an incredible fiance. I've set over 10 school records and 5 conference records in all 3 of my sports. I've made school history 6 times, and I hold over 10 music and theater titles. And I am surrounded by amazing friends and sisters that never fail to help me grow. After 22 long years, I've decided that no one can limit me to the sky when the stars are waiting for me to take my place amongst them. Thank you.
Hello, I want to start off by saying good evening. My name is Eli Wright, and I'm honored to be Phi Alpha's literary critic for this semester. This past year, Phi Alpha received the distinct pleasure of hosting Congressman Rodney Davis in the fall as his Phi Alpha lecturer for the year. He was also inducted as an honorary member into Phi Alpha's prestigious ranks. Our literary program this year, as always, achieved Phi Alpha's primary goal of moving onward and upward. And as is the case with our best of the best speaker for this evening, Mr. Josh Jennings, saw the immense improvement of its literary members. As has been tradition for over 170 years, Phi Alpha's productions are, and will always remain, themeless. Now onto the production. Now, to start off, I want you guys, and if it is all possible, and I understand that dealing with emotions like these can be quite difficult, I want you to try to imagine the darkest, most depressing moment of your entire lives. Now, I really want you to try to imagine that single darkest moment. Now, also, please try to remember how you made it out of that maw of despair. And most likely, as I suspect, you had someone that helped you climb out of that hole in your life, whether it was a friend or a family member or even a stranger. But you also have to remember that not everyone has that. Remembering this, Phi Alpha's 2016 nominee for Best of the Best wants to give us all a message that I hope will inspire you to step up and just love. Love your family, love your friends, even love strangers, because you may never know the everlasting impact that you can have on their lives. And now, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Phi Alpha's Best of the Best literary productionist for this semester, Mr. Joshua Jennings.
Thank you, Eli, for that introduction. Death is extremely difficult to confront. Even though it's something that everyone has to deal with at a time in their life, no one's ever ready for it. Old age, disease, and accidental death can be rough on a family and will always leave a hole in the hearts of those it leaves behind. But there is a type of death that we can all put a stop to. And that's the type of death that I'm going to talk to you guys tonight about. The type of death that leaves people wondering why. Suicide. I have seen pain. Pain that is internal and pain that is eternal. They say pain is how a person knows that they are in fact alive, but the pain I feel is because others are not alive. Every day, I feel like another piece of me is taken away. A family member, a friend, or just a sliver of comfort that I once had within. I am slowly disappearing into a state of sadness. It keeps growing and growing till there will never be a trace of gladness. This, I fear, will eventually lead me into the face of death. I will eventually have to join the rest. If I end my pain only transfers to another. So all I do is sit and wonder. What is after this life? Will I ever know? And will they want me when I go? I wrote that poem the day after one of my friends took his own life, 3 days before Christmas over winter break. It seemed like everything at the time that could go wrong was going wrong. I had 2 family members, a childhood dog, and a good friend all die within a month. It was painful to just get up for a couple weeks to even go to work. I was constantly thinking about the things that my friend was going to miss out on later in life. The good times we had, or the fact that his parents had just lost their only child. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 1 million people a year commit suicide worldwide. That's about 1 death every 40 seconds, or 3,000 deaths a day. In fact, suicide has a global mortality rate of 16 per 100,000 people. For each individual that takes his or her own life, another 20 attempt to do so themselves. Just think about these suicides. They could have been prevented by simply showing people that they are not alone. Oftentimes, the right words are unimportant. If the person knows that you are concerned, your voice and mannerisms will show it. Dipanshu Chatterjee. This was the name of my friend that killed himself over winter break. The kid was a senior at the University of Illinois, a Dean's List student, an extremely talented engineer, and a contributor to the Daily Illini newspaper. He had everything in the world going for him, everything. Shit, we had even talked about when we all retired, Deep, my best friend Jacob, and myself, would all live in the same area just so that we could golf every day together. The perfect retirement. But he's gone. We will never know what made Deep do it. But I never saw this kid sad even once. But today, I would go back and give anything for the chance to ask him if he had something wrong. This tragedy, however depressing and morose, went much deeper than my own sadness. See, Deep was Hindu, and in Hinduism, suicide is spiritually unacceptable. Generally, committing suicide is considered a violation of the code Aisma, and therefore is considered a violation of sinful murdering of another person. Therefore, some scriptures even state that dying by suicide results in becoming a ghost. That person is meant to wander the earth until they were originally meant to die. See, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but when I heard this, my heart sank. I thought of what Deep's family members would think whenever a thought crossed their mind of where Deep might be and the pain he must be feeling, sitting in this purgatory of deathless life. Deep was later cremated after Antiste, which is the Hindu version of a visitation. That next day, his ashes were flown to India, where it was spread across the Ganges River as is tradition in Hinduism. When I look back at Deep's death, I look at it not as only a turning point for my life, but how I look at life in general. I talk to people more about their feelings now than I ever did before. I often try to develop an understanding of what people are going through and offer myself up to help them at all, and offer them to help as much as I can. I ask of you guys to just do one thing tonight. That going forward, you keep it in your mind when you see someone hiding their emotions to sit them down and find out what's going on. Just let them know that you care, because you never know, you might just be saving a life. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Morgan Walkup, and I've proudly been serving as Sigma Phi Epsilon's Vice President this spring semester. Our speaker this evening will be delivering a piece about misconceptions of a highly contested issue in society today. Giving her original extemporaneous piece is Miss Rachel Arceneaux.
What if I told you that there is an entity that dedicates 41% of its resources to STD treatment and testing? What if I also told you that this entity also dedicates 34% of its resources to contraceptive care? This entity also dedicates 10% of its resources to cancer screening and diagnostics, as well as another 11% for other women's health services. So we have STD treatment and diagnostics, cancer screening diagnostics, contraceptive care, as well as other women's health services. Sounds like an amazing resource, right? Well, if there are any mathematicians out in the audience, I'm sure you notice a discrepancy of about 3%. This 3% is a constant struggle against the other 97% that this entity offers. So what is this 3%, you ask? Abortion. And the entity I'm talking about is Planned Parenthood. You see, people only seem to correlate Planned Parenthood with abortion, but hopefully today you'll leave knowing that Planned Parenthood is not just a place where you go to get a safe abortion. Planned Parenthood is a place where you can go to get all your health needs, from an abnormal bump on your skin to a very uncomfortable and itchy rash. For years, there have been intense arguments about this 3%. But before we move on, let me clarify that I'm standing up here and I'm saying I'm pro-choice. But being pro-choice does not mean I'm pro-abortion. Being pro-choice simply means that I defer the choice on whether or not to keep a child to that woman who is having that child. Pro-choice means that I understand that it is wrong to tell a person what to do with their own bodies, and just to tell people in general that it is wrong what to do with their bodies. And it's a simple fact that banning abortion does not cease abortions. Attempting to close Planned Parenthood, a place where there are medical doctors able to perform abortions, will only lead to women doing desperate things to terminate their pregnancy. According to the Institute of Policy Studies, 200 women die a day in the United States due to unsafe abortions. And that's what the current law is making abortions legal. I personally don't want to think about all the women who are going to put themselves in danger if they try to terminate their pregnancy by themselves. So why are people so obsessed with the closing of Planned Parenthood? Another main reason is because they believe that contraception in general is wrong. And they believe that it is wrong because of a book written 50 centuries ago.
Well, I am a Christian, and I believe that the Bible is a very good book. But I also am an educated individual, and I know that the world we live in now is not the world that it was 50 centuries ago. It's a sad fact that 1/3 of American teenagers will become pregnant, and 86% of those pregnancies are unintended. In the culture we live in now, it is just plain irresponsible to think that abstinence-based sex education is working. In a poll taken just a couple years ago, most boys in high schools thought that the act of standing up after having sex will help prevent pregnancy. There is an obvious huge lack of understanding in just how sex works, and I can almost guarantee you that teenage pregnancy, as well as abortion in general, would see a dramatic decline if sex education was taught in more of a way of how to be protected, instead of just don't have sex till you're married. And the notion that a child will result every time a man and a woman have sex is just plain bad science. It's called a miracle of life for a reason. If pro-life supporters want to say that once fertilization happens, aka once sperm enters ova, they would have to go after every single woman who has ever had a miscarriage, or even more popular, every single woman who, unbeknownst to them, had a fertilized egg that just passed right through. See, the point here is that there's a pattern of ignorance while trying to tell women what they can and can't do with their bodies. This ignorance can also be seen in the quote that states, "What if the cure for cancer was trapped inside of the mind of someone who was aborted as a fetus?" Well, I'll answer that with, what if the cure for cancer was trapped inside of a mind of a woman who was forced to have a child that she did not want and was forced to derail her education in order to provide for that child? So, here I am, standing in front of you today telling you that we need to stop this ignorance. We need to stop thinking it is okay to tell a woman what to do with her life or what to do in general. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Condon, and I am the critic of Gamma Nu. Now, let's get right to it. Gamma Nu has had a very peculiar theme this semester, being human interactions with sub-themes of peace, love, and war. We want to explore how this theme had an impact on each and every one of us, and how it corresponded with the events that fell under the umbrella of the theme. Our productionist, Mr. Shane Rhoades, is a first-year biochemistry major. He wishes to go to medical school to become a radiologist. This piece, deriving from a real-life experience, is about his world flipping upside down when he sees her hanging limply from the rafters.
So, first and foremost, I really want to thank each and every one of you for coming here this evening. It really means a lot to me that I can see so many faces in support of so many great people. And speaking of great people, Diane Hollandauer, President Farley, thank you very much. And all of the productionists, you guys are fantastic. I've had such a great time just sitting and listening. I'm truly honored to be up here. Thank you, brothers, for allowing me this opportunity, and thank you, Illinois College, for everything. Now this, I apologize if I get emotional, this happened to me several years ago, but it is a moment that will forever haunt my dreams. I close my eyes, and I see her, I see it, and I see the note in my head every day. When considering superpowers, if I could regenerate any damage done to my body, I would double backflip belly flop off of the tallest building I could find. I would make you watch. I would not tell you it won't kill me. When my body hits the ground, turning my bones to dust, when my blood splatters across your face, there will be a moment where your heart stops and your belly drops out of your everything. I will calmly walk up to you and say, yeah, ever since you killed yourself, that's how it feels for all of us all the time. If I could fly, I would take you so high and so fast you would be terrified. The wind resistance alone would rip you from my arms, but do not worry. I will hold on to you with all of this fear and this longing. I would whisper into your ear, if only you told us something was wrong. We could have held you, told you we loved you. We could have helped you. If I could read other people's minds, I would not invade your privacy. Instead, I would eavesdrop on every passerby. I would tattoo my arms with all of their nice thoughts. Every how she looks so good. Every I wish I could be so graceful. Your ex-lovers would turn my chest and my back into a masterpiece with every she was the best thing that ever happened to me. And every how could I let her get away. My legs would become a patchwork of hash marks for each and every time I still wished you were with me. It wouldn't even take a single day to cover this body and all of the nice things people didn't think you needed to hear. If I could go back in time, I would go back to the moment before it was too late. I would go back to the moment before you started a suicide note that read, "Dear Shane, I'm doing this now where I know that you will be the one to find me. Because of all my friends, I think that you are the one who is strong enough to take this. What makes you think that I was strong enough to take this?" I would go back to the moment before you became the reason I don't put pen to paper anymore. I keep it all in my head. I would go back to the moment before you became the reason that I can't open a letter without having someone else proofread it first. If I could project my thoughts into someone else's head, even knowing full well it never could have saved you, but believing that maybe, just maybe, it could have saved me, you never would have doubted, even for a moment, that you were loved. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all of those speeches. I know you worked hard on them, and they were truly powerful and wonderful. Wow. Right now, Sarah and the judges are going to go tally the scores backstage. While they are tallying those scores, we're just going to take a little time. We're going to take an intermission. Let's do about, maybe 10 minutes. And so roll around outside, finish up the hors d'oeuvres, and then come back in and we'll do the rest of the program. So we'll be back together in about 10 minutes. And let's have another applause for our speeches. They were wonderful. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have the award part of the evening. The judges tallied the scores for our speakers, and the runner-up for Best of the Best is Marineth Sierra, Gamma Delta. Marineth, can you come forward, please? And now, the winner of the 2016 Best of the Best is Tamar Norville. Congratulations to our winners. Congratulations to our winners, but also I want again to recognize all of our speeches tonight and all of our speakers. Really good job. Thank you so much. All right.
we're going to honor Greek Week just for a second, just to... This is going to be fun. But first, if you were a member of the Greek Week committee, please stand to be recognized. Without, Garrett, no. Without all of your hard work, this week would not have been possible. Also, special shout out to Megan Zirkelbach, the GLO intern, for everything that she did for the week, running smoothly. Thank you, Meg. So first place was in fact Alpha Phi Omega with 860 points. Genesis Carter is with us. Place was Sigma Pi with 845 points, and third place was Pi Pi Rho. Good job, rowers. Thank you to everyone who participated. APO, congrats again. Now I'd like to introduce Lori Olnittle, Director of Community Service and Engagement, to present the Theron Baldwin Service Award. Lori.
Thank you. Since I have the podium, I'm going to deviate from the script a little bit. So for the past 4 years here at Illinois College, this is the first year that all of the Greek-lettered organizations have gotten all their service hours in before you left. So please give yourselves a round of applause. And I just have to say, I am absolutely impressed with beyond measure with what type of service you guys are doing. Every single year you keep reaching to go more and more and more, and thank you very much. You guys have done a great, great job and doing so many great things for our community. So let's get back to the script. The award is presented to the literary society that has carried out the best overall program of service to the college, to the Jacksonville community, and to the world in general during the academic school year. This award is named for the Theron Baldwin, whose inspirational speech to the Society of Inquiry Respecting Missions on November 25th, 1828, led directly to the formation of the Yale Band and the founding of Illinois College. Now, the society that won this award raised over $1,100 for Bold for Kids' Sake and another $1,200 for Relay for Life. Outside of this, they put on 2 blood drives and helped with several other events on campus and in the Jacksonville community. This year, the winner of the Theron Baldwin Service Award goes to Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Thank you, Lori. Since you're all students who are on campus to gain an education and maintain a high standard of excellence through your classes and grade point average, I want to recognize the societies who had outstanding GPA performances this last fall, since we don't know the springs yet. At this time, I would like to recognize the Literary Society new member class with the highest GPA, which was Phi Alpha. If your new members could please stand up to be recognized. Thank you. Overall, the women performed better academically than the males in the fall by having a career GPA of 3.26 versus the male society GPA of 3.11. The Women's Society with the best overall GPA was Sigma Phi Epsilon. If you could all please stand. And the best overall male GPA was Phi Alpha with 3.19. If you could all please stand. Thank you to all of you for your continued excellence with your academics. Mindy?
This year, we have an award that really no one knows about, except for the team of judges. We wanted to give out an Unsung Hero Award, recognizing a student who has influenced their organization from behind the scenes with a positive attitude, a willingness to help others, and a commitment to excellence. This year, a senior was chosen for his contributions made to his society. This senior has done a lot over his 4 years behind the scenes and has been seldom recognized publicly. But this person deserves this recognition publicly tonight. Corey, please give a round of applause to Corey Clothlier.
All right, moving on. Female Rising Star Award. This award acknowledges the contributions of a new member female from Fall 15 who has given her time, energy, and commitment to improving the Illinois college community. This woman's nominator wrote, "She is someone I have looked up to within my pledge class, and I am so excited for her future within our society. I am so excited to give this award to someone who is following in both her mother, grandfather, and grandmother's footsteps by being a member of a literary society. This year's Female Rising Star Award goes to Rachel Brand from Chi Beta."
Next, we have the Male Rising Star Award. This award acknowledges the contributions of a new member male from Fall 2015 who has given his time, energy, and commitment to improving the Illinois college community. This man's nominator wrote, "He works hard to get his society more involved on campus. He shows commitment and leadership, not only within his own society, but in Greek life overall. I am honored to give this year's Male Rising Star Award to Joshua Hicks."
All right, our next award is the Gertrude Hahn Vice President's Award, which is awarded to the female society vice president with the highest overall scores for the entire year. There were 6 women eligible for this award, and this female had the highest scores due to her memorization, maturity, and composure. This woman chose the theme of social psychology, how others affect our attitudes and behaviors, with such topics as anxiety and depression. These were tough topics that she brought to life through her theme and through the women who spoke. Congratulations to Samantha Flores, Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Now we'll have the Martin Hahn Critics Award. This award is awarded to Best Male Critic for the year with the highest overall scores. This was another close year as last year, which we had a tie, and this year the winner won by less than 5 points. The man that won demonstrated early on why he was the best critic for the year. He had a creative theme and allowed for his men to look outside the box and explore topics that they would not normally explore. With the theme, Shoes, your 2015-2016 Martin Hahn Critics Award goes to Lucas Chamberlain.
Society Member of the Year. This award will be given to a female Literary Society member who has served as a positive role model and who has shown commitment to not only their individual society, but to Greek life as a whole. This individual is a true representative of what a Literary Society woman should be at Illinois College. This person has not one, but several students nominate her. Her nominator said great things such as, when any of her sisters come to her in a crisis, she approaches situations head on and works to find solutions. With most of her time spent off-campus working, she focuses every effort she can to be a strong leader for her fellow sisters. She is known for being someone you can always count on to accomplish a task, and she is someone who has a heart of gold. I am thrilled to give this award to someone I've had the pleasure of working with this entire year as the president of Gamma Delta. Amy King, congratulations on being the Literary Society Female of the Year for 2015-2016.
And now we're going to have the Male Literary Society Member of the Year. This award will be given to a male Literary Society member who has served as a positive role model and who has shown commitment to not only their individual society, but to Greek life as a whole. This male must reflect the values of our mission statement for the historical literary societies, social awareness, civic responsibilities, academic growth, and social networking through the bonds of brotherhood. This man's nominator said, he has led our society to greatness, and it is without a doubt that he should be the Male Literary Society Member of the Year. He is not only a leader within Phi Alpha, but also on the campus as a whole. His sense of humor is always fun, too, and I'm honored to give this award to Giovanni Nada. There are 2 awards left. The Love Cup will be first. Awarded each year for outstanding literary accomplishment within the Women's Literary Society system for the year. Scores are tabulated from both the fall and spring semesters combined, and one female society is chosen. This year's winner of the Love Cup is Sigma Phi Epsilon. And now we have the Dean's Cup for Literary Excellence. This past year, the men of this society spoke eloquently and showed us why they receive the highest scores out of any male society. This society reels you in with their personal stories, their creative impromptus, and their overall tradition of remaining themeless, which allows them to go outside the box on a variety of topics. Congratulations to Phi Alpha.
Thank you all for coming tonight. It's been an honor and privilege to get to know all of you these past 2 years. I have learned so much from all of you, and we've accomplished a lot together. I want to thank my student affairs families. A lot of you are here tonight, and I'm not going to cry, and in particular, the Center for Student Involvement for being my home for 2 years. I wish you all the best, and this is see you later, not goodbye. Thank you for a great 2 years. Please stay after for photos if you want. Thank you.